Ooh, time to get your fry on as we got a series coming up. No Ions here, but yes, there is one. So I'm trying to get some puns in there. It's really hard. Let's not worry about it. Let's just skim past it. But no, it's Fury versus Ion. Coming in hot, Skinny. I can see you're all confused by that. That's fine. Fury's been looking pretty good, but they've got so much to prove as we have the Dark Horse off tally.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, a big one to stand out tonight is that we don't have Thomasino playing. We have Maple Syrup in instead. But I will say, though, when I look at the Fury roster in the weeks past, where they have, you know, still been fighting these really close games, is, you know, Thomasino was getting camped. He wasn't able to have the same impact that he was in the very beginning weeks where we saw him playing. But Fury was still having a very good showing, and I think that's a lot of thanks to Chirp and Hooper. I think both these carries are standing out right now. Hooper is doing such a good job in the bot lane. We see multiple, you know, 2v2s coming out of Findo Hooper. See Chirp doing very well individually in his 1v1, but he might be falling down to a bit too many ganks, so hopefully in this game there is going to be a lot more presence around mid lane for the Fury side.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I've noticed about these games, right, is Fury, they've been playing very good. Both teams actually been playing very good in the early game. Early to mid, they actually are showing really strong signs of life. Skimmy, are we expecting to see something like that today and hopefully one team to really carry it through?
Yeah, I would imagine so, right? I mean, you see both teams have a huge tendency to want to be aggressive, want to try and showcase what they can get done in that mid to late game. You know, I look at the likes of, say, Doraemon. He wants to be obviously so present on the map, no doubt, wants to try and showcase what he can do into Maple. As you see on their roster here, Doraemon, Koli, Joby, Styx, and Hexflash. I think Styx and Hexflash also have really come into a league of their own, have been a pretty formidable bot lane duo, so I'm really excited for that matchup in particular. But to add to it, obviously Joby's had an MVP performance. He's shown out incredibly aggressive, isn't afraid to try and share some of the champion similarities between himself and Chirp. And I'm curious to see what the approach will be. Will we just have a standard mage match-off, or is that when we start to dive into the champions like Yasuo, like we saw already today? We know obviously Joby's a very good Yone, so maybe there's an angle for that.
More Yone! That's what I'm hearing, Skimmy, and I'm excited for it. But you bang on there. I think Doraemon as well in this top lane. Tally is definitely one player we have to keep an eye on. Has been having really good performances, but sort of being locked out by these other teams. Do you think he's going to get that time to shine?
Oh, absolutely. Like, when I think of this series right now, based on the rosters we've seen, I don't give the edge to the Fury side, like the 4-man bot lane, or like the 4-man bot side, but when Ion want to approach this game, they want to really get Doraemon ahead. I think he's going to be their win condition for this game, because I think Fury's strength right now is how strong their mid jungle and their support AD carry are, and how proficient they are even against these top teams. So I'm curious to see if they're going to, you know, just play something very passive bot lane like the center on and just put all eggs into the Doraemon basket.
Well, I want to ask now as well. We've seen that the Leona comes out as well. Is the Leona quite good, Tally, into like the center on? Or is this something that we could see a little bit more aggression sort of bot lane we put into the center on? Like, teach me. Please.
I mean, I can definitely see Leona being a good pick into center. Like, she's a mobile champion, so once you get on top of her, she can blob. Being aggressive in bot lane is you know, one of the better ways to play into the center side, because she doesn't really want to, you know, sit up in lane and just trade very aggressively when there's a Leona sitting there who can just flash on your head. And, you know, once you lose that cleanse, once you lose that flash, it's very easy for Leona to do it again and kill you.
Yeah, we'll have to see, but we do have Nox on the line joining us on the desk for the first time. Nox, you're looking good, mate. How are you feeling tonight?
Thank you. I'm feeling good about this
Feeling
game.
good? Now, we saw a lot of passion out of you last week, Nox. We saw a lot of passion. How are you feeling in today's series?
I'm feeling good, to be honest. I just want to like prove myself today, so hopefully I can.
Oh, well, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. I'm backing you guys a little bit. Now, when you're up against Koli, though, I want to know, have you got anything planned for this player? Like, have you got some stuff in the jungle that you're kind of been workshopping to sort of counteract this man?
Yeah. I have some picks, but we'll see. Maybe we can pull him out.
Maybe. All right, well, fingers crossed. I want to see some crazy stuff from you, Nox, but we'll see. But Skimmy, I'll hand it over, mate.
Yeah, well, Nox, always good to have you here, because I know we always have a bit of a laugh whenever we see the Belveth ban come out. It's just like one less ban that your team has to worry about, right? But what has been your preference in the jungle recently? Because we've seen a bit of a mixed bag, right? You played a whole bunch of like Xin recently. Obviously, Skarner's risen up in priority. Had that one game of Rek'Sai. So it seems like everybody has like a different approach to what is the go-to jungle right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AP jungles are strong, like with AD mids, but I think anything can work really. It's just like what your team plays, and also yeah, just like your playstyle in general. And what you're like
Gotcha.
practice
All
on.
right.
Yeah.
Tally?
And I'm gonna put a positive spin onto this because we weren't really getting the negative answers that we were looking for really. But simple question I'm asking everyone today is, what player from the LCO do you like having on your team in solo queue?
Oh, probably Aladoric. That guy's too good.
Is it just because he's good, or is it like, does he compliment you as a jungler?
I mean, I don't know. I just think he's good, so can win with him.
Oh, I know he's smiling so much right now.
Well,
yeah.
Nox, thank you so much for jumping on, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and good luck in the series tonight.
Thank you.
I kind of want to see Belveth,
Did he-
but I love the hesitation you get when you ask them that question, though, Tally. Like, every time they're sort of just like, oh, hold on. I'm not used to enjoying playing with players. What is this? And that's all I can see is their mind. They're like, wait, what?
Who helps me gain LP?
Yeah. But no, it's kind of good. I've wanted to talk to Nox for a while because, again, you hit the nose with that question, Skimmy, is like that Belveth pick. We know Nox loves it, but I think the one time we did see it, he didn't really have the greatest time. I think they just sort of were so aggressive. I think it was into ground 0. They may have played it.
It was into a Viego matchup. I remember, like, they went like a level 1, level 2 counter invade. He lost it, and then he
I
just
think it
lost
was
the whole
far
game
enough.
off that, right? It was
Yeah.
brutal. So it was like one of those cases where 2 junglers, only one could be fed, and he just happened to lose the coin toss. So I think it's still going to be there in the back pocket. But if he's thinking AP mages, then I'm thinking like, yeah, you're looking at like your Brand, your Talias, the list goes on.
Ooh, I'd like to see Brand tonight, but we do actually have Sticks on the line who could be whipping out the Brand support if we really feel like it. Mate, you're looking so good. Your room's always clean. Your bed's made. How are you doing tonight, son?
Good. Pike, Skimmy, Jimmy, how are we?
Great.
Oh,
mate.
good. Hey, look at these guys. Now, Sticks, I have nothing planned for this interview, so I'm just going to sit back and just bask in the glow. I'm going to let Tally ask you a question.
Oh,
no.
okay. Since I get the lead, maybe we'll get both. Okay, I want to know both. Okay, what player from the LCO do you like having on your team?
Player from the LCO, like on my solo queue team or on my actual team?
Yeah, solo queue team.
Okay, solo queue, player from the LCO. I think the obvious answer is Biopanther, just because he's never gonna mental boom. Always puts in solid performances, even when he's autofilled, because he plays autofilled most of the time in solo queue. Like, he rarely actually plays top. You see him playing like ADC and jungle and stuff a lot, and he never tilts, never flames, never wants to FF, anything like that. So definitely Biopanther.
Okay, and since I know you'll give me an honest answer, what player do you not like having on your team in solo queue?
I don't know. There's this guy that has the solo queue ID Doinby. I think he used to play LCO a little bit. I don't know. It seems that my win rate has just plummeted playing with that guy. I'm not sure what's going on, but apparently he's been to Worlds a couple times, so I would have expected better.
I think that Doinby guy's sitting high Grandmaster right now, and I'm not sure if Styx is around that LP demographic. He might be, low master right now.
Yeah, wait, mid lane champ abuser?
I also have but didn't get to Challenger, though. That's what I'm hearing.
One win away.
That's true.
for it.
Grandmaster but not Challenger? That's weird, bro.
Yeah. One win away, still
I'm a
one win
caster.
away.
I like he just trying to
Skimmy.
mental boom Sticks even before his game's being played.
I'm
It's like,
sorry.
okay, cool. I'm just pissed, I guess. Like,
untiltable.
that's great.
I'm zen.
Well, I suppose the question is right now, we're sort of looking at all these AD carries, hyper carries galore, yada yada yada. One thing that seems to be missing is this big absence of champs like Sejuani and Kalista. So why do you think like the likes of PCS and LGL play so much more of that compared to us, where we're like, Aphelios, Jinx, Kaiser?
I think one of the big things with not so much Sejuani, but definitely like Kalista, Rumble picks that have been seeing really high priority in other regions, they do require a certain degree of team play and practice that I guess the LCO might not be ready for yet, especially with Kalista. There's a lot of coordination that goes on with effectively using her ultimate, which is obviously a really strong part of her kit and makes her so viable in so many comps because she can effectively steal a teammate away from dying. And I think, maybe LCO teams just aren't as confident that they can pull that off, because if it doesn't pull off, it's quite bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting because we're noting, obviously, it's being played so much overseas, and we're thinking, why don't we do it? So, with that in mind, I suppose you're not going to be playing it either. That's all I've learned from this one, and yeah, good luck.
Thanks.
Ooh. I kind of want to see it now.
Maybe.
Can you play Callisto for me?
Look, depends
get
what
banned,
coach
isn't it?
wants, depends what the team wants. You know, I go with the flow. I go what wins us games, so we'll have to see. I'm not gonna, you know, again, I can't reveal any information, but we've got some picks cooked up, so.
All right, okay. Well, talking about wins, are you looking for the 2-0?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think like even with Tomasino on the Fury roster, we were pretty confident that we were going to 2-0 them just based on scrim results and how we were feeling against them. But now without Tomasino, who I think was their best performer, I think it'll be an easy 2-0.
Easy 2-0. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Sticks, thank you so much for coming on. Go play Callista. Go play your heart out and just have a great time, mate. Enjoy.
Thanks, Pike. See you, boys.
Bye-bye.
I'm so looking forward to Styx's player cam. I tell you what, he's like the most animated player we have. Like something happens, he just be like, bam, 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 or like, you know, start mewing on camera. Like he'll do anything, and you're just like, man, like just put the camera on him for another react.
He knows to put on the show.
That's what we wanted. I think we need to actually like compile all the best like animations that we get from players, like from their cams. I think that just like a compilation of that at the end of the split, and then we vote on which one was the best. But we have side selection ready to go. Let's have a quick look at where these teams are going to be playing. Both picking blue. Pretty stock standard tally.
Yeah, this is just a story that we're hearing every week. I think that seeing the other regions, we finally get to solidify what are the best first picks, what, you know, and then LCO teams can take away, like, okay, we don't play that champion, we play this champion. Let's ban that one, take this one. And it's just, you know, very easy going forward from that point.
Yeah, I think the choice of a counter pick, or counter ban, sorry, towards the end for red side is just so different. So I'm quite keen to see what sort of teams they want to pick up. These AD mid laners that we keep hearing and AP junglers, it's just opening up so much for a Skimmy. But is there any sort of, we've seen a lot of Talia. Are you hoping on a brand or something, Skimmy?
Well, we had a lot of brands, especially last split, wasn't it, right? It's definitely fallen off a whole bunch coming into this one. I think there's room for a lot more of the AP junglers to come out. We saw the Lilia, right? We saw that from Shern. Looked really, really strong. I think we can certainly continue to go down that avenue, but it's just whether or not teams feel like it's viable, safe enough, perhaps. Maybe the nerves start to add a little bit more, knowing that all these points matter, especially in games like this where you're thinking it is really that battle of pretty even, Stevens. So, yeah, I'm quietly confident we're going to get something unique, but at the same time, there's almost a part of me that thinks they're just going to go for a very stock standard, like zero risks, get the job done, focus on next week.
Look, you said two words in that entire thing that I really loved. You said points and risk. And right now,
Risk them.
I'm looking at it.
Up
right there. It's your channel points. It's time to put them on the line, put it towards your favorite team, Ion or Fury. We're going to have to see who's going to pick up as many as you can, because at the end of the day, you're supporting your team. You're making sure your players are looked after. Food's on the table. And right now, you got to get some points into your pocket. That's the only way to do it.
The full yarn, like food's on the table, the power is on, your family's not crying, life is good, you're playing League of Legends. Boom.
It's easy.
Paid the bill.
Yeah, play League of Legends.
with my
Yeah, it just needs your
points.
internet. But we got our predictions to go through as well. Let's see what we've all decided on. And it's a 2-0 to Ion. Skimmy.
Who copied me?
No, okay. I didn't mean to. I apologize for chat. I didn't mean to copy them. I sort of looked at it. They had really good predictions. I put in a couple and I was like, you know what? I think they're right.
I know Skimmy strat. I know Skimmy strat now because he's 1 point ahead of me. He's just going to copy what I do.
No.
I know it.
No. Look, you've always got to play for the winners. I'm just a big Styx and Doraemon believer. I feel like they'll have just enough of a advantage to close it out.
Well, I'm a believer in both of you because I'm going to hand it right over right now so you guys can take this game away. I'll see you guys after it.
Thank you very much then, Pike. All right,
Bye-bye.
let's kick off with our second series of the night. A battle in the middle of the table to see who deserves to be considered for an upper bracket position. First Super Week, first time for these teams, and some of these players even, Tally, to experience more games more often and never getting that weird time.
Yeah, and I'm also very excited for this matchup because this is probably our closest in terms of skill level or like team position right now for like the split. So I'm very excited to see like what it really looks like as the game starts. And you know, to touch more on what Nox mentioned with you know, he thinks AP junglers are really good. I think it's kind of hard for Fury to play it because, when I think of Chirp, I think of like he's a mini Jensen, he very much favors like the AP mid laners. I haven't really seen him, play those AD mid laners. Like they have banned away the Tristana, so like all they really have is the Corki or like the Jace. But, I've really never really thought of Chirp as like himself as that, AD mid laner. But here's a big one, and we've seen it overseas, Skimmy. We've seen that Ezreal Leona pop up in priority, and Stick, known for his Ezreal, just locks it in.
So all those times we ask Styx, is Ezreal good? He says, nah, it's rubbish, it's bad, I need to wait for a buff. He sees it overseas, and suddenly he's back to his comfort. No doubt, you're a very happy man locking that one in.
Yeah, and so Ezreal was buffed on 14-12, but we are still on the 14-11 patch, so he doesn't have those buffs yet. But we have seen the strength of Ezreal overseas in like the LCK and the LEC. We know how strong it is, how dominant it can be in that lane, especially paired with the Leona. I'm really excited to see how this bot lane goes for Ion.
Me too, exactly that. Just as we see Fury respond, so they've already gone for the Ashe as their first pick. Going to go for the Renekton as well. Also begs into question as Hooper's Cam is just having an absolute seizure there. We're not sure what's going on with that
Matrix.
But either way, I'm curious to see how Maple Syrup performs. You can see in the background, as always, with Fino and his whiteboard, always giving away some of the good goss and sometimes even the secrets. I am curious to see how he fares in this one because Doraemon's going to be a tall task.
Yeah, we missed the whiteboard last week, so it's nice to see that it's come back, Skimmy. But, Fury locked in the Renekton, just a very, staple. Like, it doesn't really matter how you perform in your individual 1v1 because you still have that flash stun, you still are a semi-side lane threat, you're able to hold the turrets in the 1v1. Ion, regardless of who they're versing, lock in the, we need a frontliner for our comp, take away the Cassante straight away. Doraemon has had a very, very good showing on this champion in past weeks, so it's another easy pickup for them.
Another staple, why not? You're going to continue to play what works for you. Brandon gets denied away by Ion. As we were imagining, one of the premier AP junglers is to be denied. They're going to respond back with a Jarvan ban, given that some of their champions would be fairly immobile, and we've already seen what a Jarvan can do into comps like that. Can really take over the game. We'll get to see what Ion now prefer instead. And I'm quite curious to sort of see where Ion look to try and build this comp out from, because you've already got the Ezreal, you've got the mobility, you've got the function for Hex Flash to roam and be a bit of a menace rotating between the lanes. What else do they want to bring to the table? And like you mentioned, right, how do Chirp and Nox, tread this line of AP and AD?
Yeah, I assume it's just going to be the very standard. Nox is going to lock in one of his AD carries, whether it's going to be the Viego based on like how much dive, go forward chance we're seeing out of Ion, or if he wants to play something different, and then Chirp will just, round that out with one of these multiple mages that he has. But I want to touch more on the brand pick, Skimmy, because, it did fall out of meta, but I think it is very slept on right now, based on the Warmogs meta. I think that Brand himself, being able to build the burn items, he's very good into these health stackers. Also, something very underrated with Brand is, based on like the Leandries plus his passive burn, he keeps champs in combat for such a long time. You aren't able to exit a fight and use that Warmogs to, heal back up and come in because I think the Brand passive with the Leandry sits on you for like almost 7 to 10 seconds out of the initial damage. So you are not going to be able to come back into that fight. Brand wants champs to dive into him, so, Ion ban that away. They don't want to deal with that champion, as, Nox talked about how much he loves it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in that regard. You just never get to truly activate that Warmog's passive if you're running around all day waiting to drop combat. Lee Sin, though, is the pickup here for Coley. Going to get a chance to be a lot more aggressive compared to some of the supportive capacities he's had in weeks gone by. You can clearly see that their comp is built to do one thing, and it is to just dive and take you down. But a Poppy can do great things into that, and took it away. We saw just how good Incursio was with those fears. Yeah,
this is, how do you coin it, Skimmy? Like a Thanos Poppy pick? We see so many dashes coming out of the Ion side, so there's so much value coming out of that steadfast presence. He is going to do good in his 1v1. A lot of gank pressure, the ability to peel in team fights. I think Poppy is one of those, champs you really need to look out for in drafts if you're going to pick so many dashes like Ion have. But they left it up, they picked the Lee Sin, so, they're happy to play into it. And then, both teams round out their comps with their respective mages. I think very standard coming out of both sides. I like both drafts. I will say that, based on the supports who want to dive in, it does favor the Ion because Leona has a lot more follow-up buddies, whereas, Fury, we're going to see Findo go in. We don't really have that same dive threat coming out of the Fury side, but, if Renekton does find a nice TP flank, if the Poppy can hit a nice, flash wall stun, it's still going to have a lot of presence.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, right? If you've got the ability to try and fight in close combat, then Renekton and Poppy certainly will flourish. Their stocks will go through the roof, but at the same time, it looks like Ion have this fantastic delivery ball system. 3 champions that can really make life of the Orianna that much easier. Obviously, the nimble nature of an Ezreal that's very hard to try and lock on down. But in for Fury, it's like a mixed bag, right? You've got the engage, but also you've got the ability to try and find those really far back engages, be it the Ashe or even the Wei, right? We've seen just how much impact they can both have if they get given the space in which to conduct the fight.
Yeah, and we look at Fury's comp and like how they're going to engage. A lot of it's going to come down to these Ashe arrows, but you know, once again, Ezreal's such a slippery champion, especially paired with the cleanse. I assume he's going to run that based on the fact that he's versing, you know, 2 cleansable champions in the bot lane. I'm really excited to see Hooper on the Ashe, especially. I think he's had a lot of success on this champion. I think into the tank, so he's going to have to go for that more, you know, Triforce build. Like, you know, a lot of AoE damage is going to be coming out of the Ion team, so he can't really go for that, you know, straight up crit build because he could just fall over to Augusta win at that point. So a lot more scaling in that build when we see the Kraken Triforce into the edge. But still going to be able to do that damage when he is able to pick up the items he needs.
Certainly will do, and had a really impressive performance on the Ashe in their last game up against Grand Zero, you know, last week, right? So certainly should be feeling pretty inspired about their chances coming into this one and showcasing, well, if I can do it against the best, then surely I can perform against you too. That is the question. I suppose the other one is the fact that whilst Senna Nautilus or Senna Ornn was the go-to all of last week, it's almost like this weekly patch. It's almost like the meta evolves, and we really do have our own Oceanic meta.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because like we're watching overseas, some regions are a patch ahead, some regions are on the same patch, but we also, you know, play before they do, so everyone's trying to figure out their own meta. And you know, I think the Senna was correct. I feel like it had a lot of value for these teams in drafts, and especially like, you know, being able to make your comps more flexible by picking these strong engaged champs in the bot lane who can farm. But you know, we've seen the priority of Senna dropped. Nautilus is hitting the ban phase again, so we get to see new champions. We see Ezreal pop up a lot overseas, coming into our region. Hopefully we can see other teams play, because I know Violet also another really, really good Ezreal when he wants to play that champion. Don't know if Aldoric wants to play with the boring laner though, so have to see what these teams are going to do, you know, based on what we've seen overseas.
What is true, as you say, different patches, different ideas on the meta, and obviously you saw even within our own Asia Pacific just how different the likes of PCS and LJL have been compared to us in that same conversation too, as we do load into the riff for our very first game of this second series tonight. And it's a big one. As we've already mentioned, if you're just tuning in, this is a battle, as you would say, in the middle of the table. Iron coming into this one with 3 points. They were tied with Direwolves coming into today. Fury in 7th with only a single point to the name, but we did mention just how hard their run has been. They've had to endure Bliss, Antic, and Grand Zero back to back to back. So, assuming they've not completely boomed from that point, now should be, you know, that downward slope should be plain sailing now.
Yeah, definitely. Fury has gone through, you know, the hardest of hards, you know, versing all our best teams. So finally they get to verse someone who's more on their playing field. It'll be a very big confidence boost if they're able to pick up a game, or even the 2-0. I think that they are a very good team. But on the other hand, Ion are also one of our really, really strong teams who are sitting at the middle of the pack. They have shown a lot of proficiency against our top teams, you know, doing really good in the early games, but just unable to really, you know, translate the leads they're generating. When I am looking at the Ion comp though, like, I always joke about how Ezreal on the current patch just doesn't do any damage. So I think that if Styx and Hexflash are unable to generate advantages in the 2v2s based on the, you know, what we've seen overseas and how strong Leona is in the 2v2, I don't think he's going to be able to do as much damage as Hooper in these fights. You know, he doesn't really have access to that strong armor pen item. You know, he doesn't really utilize crit as well. And if he wants to go for the Soreldas, there's just not as much damage there. As we see Styx just losing so much health level 1, Fino finding a really nice engaged level 1. And I think this swings how the matchup works a lot, because, you know, Ezreal all about, you know, getting your passive stacked up early, level 1 on the wave, pushing, using your mystic shots to harass people who try to trade with you. But Ashe, also another really strong champ in the early game, is able to use the volley, use that crit onto the slow targets, do the extra bit of damage on every auto, and just really, you know, find advantages in the early game skimming.
Yeah, both obviously wanted to weave in and stack up, but certainly that to be favoured of Fury right now, as you mentioned, finally getting a really good read on level 1. And in that same conversation, I suppose, it's a case of you need to have a bit of a license to pilot the Ezreal. We've certainly seen our fair share of those that have tried. And if you're not too well-versed in it, you might as well play something else instead. We'll keep tabs on how that bot lane goes. As it stands, though, mid lane, I think, should this be Orianna favoured to start with? You've seen in the past, certainly, if they can weave in their auto attacks, they just do so much extra damage early on.
Well, both mid lanes have gone for Comet, so they both really want to win this lane. I would always give the range advantage to Hui, but the main problem with Hui is his cooldowns are longer than Orianna's, so we get to see Ori, you know, moving the ball around, being able to find, not as strong trades, but trades more often, so be able to generate more priority in the lane in the 1v1. You can also shield out a lot of the damage coming from Hui, which is very, predictable. So that's like the one strong thing as we see the solo kill coming out of Jovi already. So this is the strength of Ori in the early game. We get to see, paired with the Comet, 2 points into the distance, does so much damage in the early game.
As we mentioned, should it be stronger? Well, certainly is if it's a case of getting a 3-minute first blood to really set the tone and showcase who is looking to try and get the win here today. You can see Coley just at a range right now, hanging by the grub spawn, just to see if he can find himself a lane gank, or perhaps somebody going for a little bit of deep vision, as we know. Spino wrapping around to try and go and find himself a fight. Out goes Sonic Wave, waiting for him to jump it in for that execute damage, not to find it, but the flash will certainly confirm it. And for all that good work in the first 30 seconds of laning, it's actually going to get turned around, and it's Ion that pick up 2.
Yeah, Ion just attacked that little gap of, disconnection coming out of Fury. We see Nox is piling into bot lane, so the Fury bot lane feels a bit safer than they were because, they split up, as we do go in the replay for the solo kill mid, so I'm curious how this happened. I'm pretty sure Jovi just muscled him out with his, it's a bit too much damage here coming out of the Orianna, waits for his cooldown, and actually just, flashes on and executes him.
That's what happens here. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Just weaving an auto attack as you flash away. You can't dodge that. It's already been lined up and is traveling right towards you. And this is a perfect situation to start this game off with, right? Let's see if they can answer back with anything of their own, because Findo, as well as Nox, are linking up to make this happen. Flash forward, guaranteed to stun with that Joust, and then pounce upon him to guarantee that the damage will land. Nox gets amongst it and he'll be there to pick up the killing blow. And now as a group they can collect this wave, push it in, and look to bully at Coley.
Yeah, this is one of the problems that you have, like when you lose Flash as these mid laners. This is the reason why we see so many tier 2 boot rushes in these mage matchups, is because you're so mobile, you're so susceptible to being ganked, and you need to really change how you play in the 1v1 when you lose your summoner. You don't have this get out jail free card. So Jovi still playing aggressive in his 1v1, steps past the creep wave, tries to zone him off farm, but we see the jungle support come out of base, go for that very easy gank on the Jovi, and mid lane's a bit safe now.
Well, top has been the quietest of them all, I suppose, as is usual when we check in with this one. But what do we know of Maple Syrup? Have you had a chance to verse them in solo queue, perhaps?
No, I don't know anything personally, Skimmy, and I'm curious to see what he likes to do as a player, and even if this is his main role, because we have seen a lot of off-role players recently, like in Fury in the jungle. So it's good to see that he did just pick the Renekton. No, he's not just going to slam a Malphite and just hand over the lane. He's playing a champ who can still create pressure in these skirmishes. So, Fury aren't too worried if it is, left on an island, because their main focus for the past couple of weeks has always been about the spot side.
It certainly has been. So let's keep our focus on it now as we get to watch them rush towards level 6. Coley in the same area again, perhaps looking for a little bit of deja vu, as they have a control ward in that tri-bush, protecting his advance from Gromp into the river itself, but will be spotted by that pixel bush if he decides to step out of the shrub for a second. As you can see now, as our observers fantastically toggle between 2. So any chance for him to try and answer back with another kill is certainly going to be pushed to the wave side, but he is going to take full advantage of the fact that, well, I can sneak in between your wards and I can just start up the dragon.
Yeah, I think it's so important to get these dragon stacking, because I would say there's a slight scaling advantage to the Fury side. I think both mid laners scale pretty evenly, but I would always give it to the Ashe role when it comes to those late game team fights. So it's good to see that you're using the Ezreal priority in the early game thanks to that gank to get dragon stacking, because they really need the soul point to be able to navigate those mid-late game team fights.
Obviously very early on into this one, but it is a 1k lead already for Ion to be quite chuffed with. So first dragon goes their way. Nox can be quite content with picking up 2 grubs, gets the second to 50%, and with the assistance of his Renekton is looking to try and fend off any attempts from Lee Sin as well as Ori to bully them out, but then says, you know what, I've had enough of this one. You're up against the terrain, flash, heroic charge, up against the wall, what can you do? Anything you spare is there, and Maple Syrup announces himself as the sweetest of them all with his first kill.
Yeah, sorry for walking into river there, Skimmy, but they're going to find the trade kill onto Findo. Coley doesn't have access to flash. Fury throws the whole kitchen sink at him. Easy kill to pick up there. And I'm curious about this 1v1 the bot lane, because Ezreal's really good in these extended trades where he's going to constantly find this poke. Unfortunately, doesn't land. Doesn't land the important ability either, so he's not going to be able to do the damage that he needs to. And Hooper's going to be able to be much more comfortable in this 1v1 if the map continues to be like this.
Such a strong component of Ezreal's damage, right, is to retain all those attack speed buffs, all those stacks of the attack speed buff, rather, for as long as possible to try and eke out those advantages. But simply will just hit the True Shot Barrage at the end there, just to trim that wave as much as he can. And all is okay for the meantime. My only concern with this one is that Styx has gone for the cleanse himself, whereas Hooper has not. So surely if there's a situation for the Leona to pounce upon him, he'd be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, and that's the main reason why we saw Hooper fall down in the early game to that gank, where Collie was really able to avoid the vision and use that timer where Nox was still clearing his jungle. It's because he doesn't have cleanse. He decided to go for the barrier. He's probably a bit worried about getting blown up by like the Lee Sin in the mid game, or if he wants to go for that full crit build and he wants to skip the Triforce, he wants a bit of that, you know, defensiveness that he's going to gain from the barrier shield. But yeah, once again, that's just how these skirmishes are going to work in lane. You don't have cleanse versus Leona. She is able to get on you. You are not moving for a long time, and you are taking a lot of damage.
And it's almost like the same conversation as last game, right? When you talk about like a Lucian Nami, obviously wanting to be very aggressive, and that the mismatch of Enchanter into tank support can be a little bit rough at times. I suppose it's in a similar conversation here too, right? You can obviously be so strong, you can bully your advantage as an Ashe, itemizing towards that crit. But then if you don't have the uptime because you're just constantly CC'd, it does feel a little bit bad. We'll have to wait and see as to how it does materialize in the end, as he does go back to base and pick up some Zerka Greaves, so he's going to be sitting pretty happy for the meantime. Same to be said for Styx, who finds his first big purchase with the Sheen as well as the tier. So I suppose really in terms of game state right now, yes, it was a small lead in favor of Iron, but pretty even across the board.
Yeah, this game state is going, or this game is going pretty much as we expected. You know, a lot of like trading in top lane, but just a lot of not so much happening, just trading of CS. We see Jovi picking up the tier 2 brute, so yeah, he's recognized that like, oh, I'm very susceptible to these ganks, especially if an Ashe comes out of the fog of war, so I need to be mobile.
There's the Ashe all the way from bot lane straight into that mid position as Hexflash was caught roaming. Is it enough to get the kill? No, Smite tried to come out to get it done, but it wasn't to be. So he lives to fight another day, and now Maple Syrup gets to really enjoy what it's like to play in a competitive landscape. You will just get dived. You will be left out to dry, because the same will happen bot side. Whilst you dying top side, your team is making a play to try and force out a trade, but unfortunately for them, they can't find it.
Yeah, Styx is able to live there, thankfully, but that was a really, really nice dive from Ion. I think that's a very hard to execute dive. Maple Syrup, you know, doesn't use the stun onto probably the correct member. I think that you really need to stun Collie up there because he's going to do so much of the damage in that dive. But you know, Doraemon does such a good job to use the Pathmaker to, you know, really dodge that Renekton stun and just get out the tower dive so easily.
Debated the attention was that much of a threat, and very close to having a bit of an unfortunate reset back to base as the camp does eventually get taken on through. Great flash forward from Fino. The Joust finds 2 and it's stunned. The Soliflay goes out and stunned underneath the tower. I think Iron actually went out ahead with the assistance of that one. It becomes so favourable, and now it becomes a race. Can you get back to base before the wraparound Lee Sin comes to find you?
I think you will be able to get out on time, you know, based on not having a vision, but you had access to the hammer as well. If you had to use that, you'll be able to get out easily. But, you know, I was really happy with that. We saw Finder commit the flash and ignite, but they only trade 2 for 2, so they're going to be very happy with that. As we do go on to replay, we see Styx, you know, playing aggressive. It's honestly surprising for him that they decide to stay around like this, but it should be obvious based on how Hooper's playing. But unfortunately, like Hooper, you know, throws an auto attack into the turret, doesn't have the cleanse, so he's just sitting. He's a sitting duck when he gets locked up by this Leona.
Yeah, it's rough. It really is rough. And whilst he has a pretty major CS lead now into the Ezreal, he's going to continue to fall victim to that combo they have. CC, as you say, it's certainly going to feel pretty good for Ion to know they got out with a 2 for 2. Despite really getting overrun with that amount of pressure. Second Dragon though, first one going the way of Ion, next one's up in 20 seconds, Ocean Drake to be taken. As Fury looks to try and control, as well as command, I suppose, the river in their favour, utilising the fact that their bot lane is pretty advanced up, but a nice deep lane ward allows them to TP into this one. Keep his verdict to knock back the Leona and say, now surely this is a winning fight, but Doraemon has other ideas in mind. Fantastic kick to knock back Cooper, and Collie survives. He jumps out and he gets a double with the fadeaway Q. And now Nox thinks, surely they're not going to be here, right? Hang on a minute, they are! Flash back to the tower! And with 100 HP to his name, it really is a case of, where do I go?
Yeah, flashing to his doom anyway, Schemie, doesn't really matter. But this is Doraemon's expertise, like creating a TP advantage from that dive that they pulled off earlier, so he's able to use that to counter gank the pressure coming out of bot. Not even sure if you were able to win that 3v3 that was going to come out. We see Collie completed the item, we see Hex Flash level 6 advantage over Findo, so I think they were very, very happy taking that 3v3 if Fury decided to go aggressive here. But onto Jovi, I don't know if they have the damage here. It
was a really good shockwave actually, because it completely destroys the combo that Findo was looking to try and answer back with, but now he turns it on the aggressive. He says, you know what, you missed your chance, so now I'll punish you. He finds one, and now looking to line up the second, so there becomes the double kill And this Orianna is starting to become a problem.
And that's the strength of the Merc Treads. He's able to avoid so much of the CC and damage coming out of Fury with the extra move speed that he has. And thanks to that, he's able to find those 2 kills back on Traders. It's just like these really small things that keep happening for Ion that are getting these huge leads.
Oh, what an ultimate there from Doraemon. Absolutely superb there with the all-out. Has to wait for the cooldown, flashes over because he's impatient and says, you know what, a new challenger joins the battle. I'll turn my sights on towards Nox. But even he has run away from this one. And if they'd stuck around that river any longer, that Ash Shower was all the way connecting from bot.
How unfair, Skimmy. You're just trying to CS some moves on your turret and you just get kidnapped out of your own lane.
Legit. It's one of those moments, where you just do scream into the void and say, Riot, what is this? Why does the champion do it all?
You know, I'm glad more champs don't do that.
I will never stop laughing at those stupid memes where it's like some new champion like Viego or whatever comes out. He's their passive. Now Nasus gains lifesteal. Absolute Chad.
Yeah, but it's actually funny, you know, talking about Nasus' passive, it's not even linear. It just randomly doubles at certain points in the game. Like, it's not like, oh, you gain 2% lifesteal per level. It's like, no, at level 7, it just doubles in effectiveness. I don't know. Nasus slept on. It's a slept on passive, though, I will admit.
That's what we need, bro. That's what we need. The Renekton versus Nasus top lane. We're no longer talking about comps and their viabilities. We're just going full lore. Let's become a bit of a lore master and see who knows more about the game. And I'll tell you what, it definitely won't be me.
What? Okay, talking about lore, like a lore team scheme. Who do you think is the strongest region? Like a region-based team?
Well, I would just make an entire team based off Arcane because I love Arcane.
Oh, true.
Yeah, it's like the easiest one to win with.
And when Season 2 drops, they're going to buff all the champs, Skimmy.
True!
Arcade roster.
I remember when Season 1 came out and all we were talking about, like, oh my god, it's Jace from Arcane. I love Arcane. Bat chest. Unending Despair comes across. And X-Flash is not feeling too happy about that one. Caught out in mid lane. Instant cleanse out of the Ash shot, which sticks us under a lot of damage as the poke from that of a way is a little bit too much. So Styx is completely forced to play that of a Spell Slinger. But everybody converging on mid lane. Side lane's completely forgotten about. And what is it we're playing for here, guys? The Herald is up and available. And everybody believes that is worth fighting for.
Yeah, Fury have thrown their cooldowns already, so they found their pick, but they're cancelling their bases. They do have the TP from Chirp, does have his first item. I think they want to fight this, but if they look at the map, Hooper is nowhere near.
Yeah, he's actually only now coming back from the base, using that Hawk vision to understand where the rest of Iron could be. TP coming in here from Chirp, but it's not going to be Styx that's amongst this fight right now. So it will be a 4v5 whilst Ion keep that Herald entertained. It's down to 50%. But Shelly might get a little bit confused in a second. Am I resetting? Am I switching my aggro? What is the focus right now? But look how clumped up Fury are. It's the prime position for a fantastic shockwave. And that might be exactly what Jovi's looking for right now. Goes for the 2-man. Couple that with a true shot barrage. And just instantly destroy that on Nox. He's down for 20. Maple jumps in, but he's got no backup. So he'll fall on down soon after. And it is a very one-sided affair.
Yeah, we saw a really nice engage coming out of Chirp. He finds the, you know, the fear tether. Nox goes in with the engage onto the wall, but they funnel into that choke. They get hit with a multi-man shockwave, multi-man true shot barrage. There's so much AoE coming out of the Iron side, and, you know, even Cassandre, like, throwing that path make onto so many members, just shredding the entire Fury roster.
A little bit too much damage to try and get themselves through. Let's run it back with a replay one more time, because this feels like a very dicey little dance they were doing.
Yeah, I think it was just a bit too much of an overcommittal onto the front line. I don't think Coley is a particularly strong member that he's commit so many cooldowns onto, but they just all commit into this choke. Styx does a really good job to, like, use the Arcane Shift to reposition, get away from the flash that came out of Chirp, and, you know, they just live there. It was easy for them.
Well, now, at 16 minutes, Iron start to really gather themselves a bit of a mid-lane gold lead to actually really shout about. Up by close to 4k, it would sound. As Fury are left to find answers to get themselves back into this one. You mentioned some of the itemization, primarily for that of the Ashe. Has opted for the Kraken Slayer Rush on this occasion. Not going for the Trinity Force as you would have liked, but we might be going for a bit of a repeat fight here. As it's a nice little disengage with the Steadfast Presence, not allowing Hexflash to jump in there. But the Solar Flare means that next on the agenda is this with the Renekton. Nice bit of damage from Styx across the wall. And there is Doraemon to play cleanup crew. The two bruises leading the line are the ones to pick up all the gold.
Yeah, very easy. The Fury once again always being on the front foot, trying to see, but we see Flash Bot onto Hooper. Has Flash though, gets the reposition.
Can he get out of this one? It's Hexflash just the focus of all this damage coming out of Hooper right now. He's undeterred, he knows he's got a teammate, so he's just literally running him down, keeping him slow, getting vision and getting a kill. Coley's dead, looks more, but Styx just hits him with a bit of damage to his face and completely takes him out of the picture. There's the second with a fantastic snipe. And now a little bit of a dance. He's getting clean with it because he's 7-1-7.
Yeah, and we talked about, like, is this Ezreal going to be able to find the lead in the early game that he needs to like, you know, mitigate the problems that he has in his item build right now. He doesn't really have good items to build after the third, fourth item, but with the gold lead that he has and the amount of team fights that Arn keeps winning, I think he's very happy with this game state.
Certainly should be. Warmog's picked up as well, so now Leona's already hit full build. I'm just going to always go with this. Like, every single time I see a Warmog, I'm like, oh, somewhere in the world, Tally right now is smiling.
Yeah, and it's just such a good item, especially into Hui. Hui's damage very hard to stick. A lot of it is poke, a lot of it is skill shot based, and to be able to just, you know, exit the fight, walk off a lot of the poke that's going to come out the Severing Bolt, it just makes this item so OP, man. Like, I hate versing it.
It's a little bit brutal as we do enter into a pause. Hopefully not a very long one. I will note, though, before we went into that, is I can see 336 stacks on the tier for the Ezreal, so very close to upgrading that as well. And at that point, I would say they're a bit of a formidable forces, Iron, in this mid game. Trinity Force, as well as the Manamune, all done, or Muramana rather, all up and ready to go. That's a lot of damage to try and get through. Obviously, Lee Sin's still hitting like a truck. Doraemon's been holding his own, really giving Maple Syrup a bit of time to comprehend what's going on. And obviously, Shobi's been in a league of his own, really has outclassed at a chirp so far this game. So, I suppose to throw things around, what is it that Few should do? Should we continue just to, run towards this Herald and hope to entertain a fight?
I think based on this game state, it's going to be way too hard to get to scale based on like how far they are behind. I think they need to hit 2 items and start forcing fights, start using these Ash arrows, start using TP flanks if they can, and just really, contest any aggressive vision that Ion starts to go for. As we see the Ash arrow come out, but Styx has the cleanse, Styx has the arcane shift. It's just so easy for him to get out of this these dangerous missions. But the one thing goes to Fury now is that Styx doesn't have cleanse, so the next arrow when it lands could mean a kill.
It certainly could be, and you could see he hesitated for a second there, wondering, do I need to burn this or not? Have I covered enough distance with the Arcane Shift? Ultimately, didn't want to leave that one to chance. There's a big bounty to be claimed if he does fall on down, so it is not worth greeting it on this occasion. Solar Flare goes out, Hooper gives him a nice little thumbs up because that one's a miss. TP from Fury into the mid lane, waiting for it is Doraemon. Welcomes Chirp back into the lane and says, maybe next time you won't TP here. So as soon as he comes in, he falls on down yet again. Doraemon, note, is just unable to fall on down. He is a Titan at 3-0-9. And he just tanks up the world and more. They switch their attention to Coley. He jumps in, has the moves, gets it done. Very clean with his ward hopping. And Doraemon says, watch this. Dashes forward, going all out with a flash to cover even extra ground. And you wouldn't put it past Styx to jump inside the base and really put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's just way too easy for them. A really nice, flank coming out of Ion. Chirp gets caught off guard as he's TPing in to try save his AD carry, who was, caught off guard by Doraemon coming from the side lane. But he just lands in front of Styx, and we look at Styx's inventory and the amount of damage he's able to output right now. It's, uncontested right now for the rest of this team.
Yeah, it's very, very strong right now. This just feels, watching it again, very rough from Chirp, right? You're thinking, surely I'm in a prime position here because we have such a numbers mismatch, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, and just a really nice ult as well from Styx. He jumps over the wall, throws the True Shot barrage across multiple members, does so much damage, and it's so hard for Fury to be able to contest what is happening right now, the front to back. And I'd really like to see them just, try find these outnumbered scenarios where, Ion go a bit too aggressive to vision, and that's when they should really strike.
So it does seem like they're missing just a little bit of ability to group up and be as strong in their convictions of taking down key targets like Iron have been. They've been linking up phenomenally well and able to find the crucial targets when it does matter. I mean, I look at their mid and AD carry right now. Both one single death, both worth a ton of gold. Both have 2 items and they have spiked out of control with their tiers being rushed.
Yeah, and you did mention it, there's a lot of gold in them, these bounties. If these shutdowns do go over to Fury, these carries in Chirp and Hooper, slightly behind, but they are picking up their second items now. So if they do get these shutdowns, it's going to be able to accelerate them forward. We're only seeing slight component mismatches right now in the inventory, so they have the damage. I think the main problem right now is Doraemon and how much of a brick he is. When I look at his inventory, how does Hooper do damage to that? He has no armor pen, he has no Borg. I think Doraemon is just way too strong right now.
Certainly was to be evidence in that last fight. Look at this though, Coley once again waiting. Who's going to show up? Maple Syrup, that's not where you want to be, buddy. The Baron bait was a dance. The dance, unfortunately, you have really joined in the tango with. Didn't they go for another fight? There is the keeper's verdict to knock back Hex Flash, but he's going to join in all the same as a 1-for-1 so far. True Shot Barrage heading across multiple members. Final stuck in the middle, and Maple Syrup not long for the world. Nox and Chirp forced to scurry away to opposite sides, split the focus of Ion both left and right. But that's the Zenith Blades, and that's another target seemingly about to fall on down. He's trying to do as much as he can, Chirp, and he has done enough. He's managed to survive, but can the same be afforded to Nox, as Styx doesn't have the damage to take him too?
Yeah, and I think Chirp has done enough damage. He's stuck enough damage onto these members that they won't be able to start up the Baron, you know. We see them going for the recalls on the map, so this is, you know, not so bad for Fury. They've blown multiple summoners, but if we do get the replay to come out, I think it's just so hard for Hooper to do damage. We watch how this fight plays out. I think he fell down to almost, it was like an Ori QW into another Q, and I think he was just out of the fight completely. Really nice flash from Joby though, reacts to the wall slam coming out of Nox, so we just see Hooper pretty much gets sold out by the support and one combo from the mid laner, unable to get one auto attack off the entire fight. But look how well this fight still went through, even though they're, you know, one of their main DPS just wasn't here skinny.
Yeah, despite that, as you mentioned already, Chirp was certainly doing so much damage, even if it isn't to be reflected in them finding kills or assists. It certainly was in terms of keeping them low enough where, again, go back to your previous point, right, of claiming those bounties could certainly be the difference. There's a 1k shutdown now on Styx's Ezreal as he hits double digits with 10 kills to his name. So certainly showcasing, if I do get to play one of my best champions, one of the champions I'm well known for, I'm going to make it count. Now, speak of the devil, he could be in a bit of a situation as he's surrounded by 5, collapsed upon in mid. But in your inbit, it's Ezreal. Hexflash will soak up the Assault, and Finder will go for even further damage, but they go for the kick, they protect them, the True Shot barrage in another corridor, hits onto 3. Joby waiting for the angle to try and hit that shockwave. It's going to come on through, and nobody has died yet, except for Hooper, the first one again. It can't be him as the casualty, but Iron are always able to get access.
Yeah, like we just saw how much presence Doraemon has in these team fights. He throws the Pathmaker down the choke, 3 members, stuns them all up, kidnaps Hooper, and Hooper is once again first to fall down. Like, unfortunately, the you know, we saw the hula hoop ult coming out of Joby because he had the ball position on Doraemon as he used it all out to get out of the fight. But it's just so easy based on his gold lead. They can't find the lockdown onto this Ezreal because he's so mobile, and since he's so far ahead, even though he won't be doing the same amount of damage as Ashe with the same items, he's so far ahead, so he's going to be doing so much damage, Skimmy.
Yeah, he's going to stay that much more relevant for that much longer is the real takeaway from that one, right? The 10-1. Happy scoreline with the damage done as well, with the Serylda's there to boot. Old Ezreal would have absolutely loved this one. New one, maybe not so much, but still he's going to find a fair bit of value, as they will guarantee that the soul is theirs. As Nox is going to go for a Hail Mary across the wall, and Styx is like, not on my watch.
Honestly respectable. It's a nice try. Very hard without any vision. He almost got it though. I will admit, you know, it was a nice read, completely blind. But we see that Maple Syrup's going forward here, but I don't think he wants to be in this position, Skimmy.
I don't think so. You're getting run down by a support right now, but the real threat is it's Orianna. In comes Cole, he says, if you can't deal 1, how about 2? He flashes away, but the Zenith Blade was always there to follow. If that wasn't to connect, there was so many more projectiles coming his way. And it is a very one-sided affair. 25 minutes in, 31 kills to 7, and now a 10k lead.
Yeah, and we see the death cap coming through from Joby on the Orianna, so he's already scaled up, and a really nice solar flare onto Chirp's head.
Well, that's why I understand Leona, as well as Ezreal, is a little bit strong in tandem, right? Look at that, just cycling through the cooldowns and layering that Leona passive for all that extra on-demand bursts. So hard to try and get through right now. They've got 4 Void Grub stacks. They've got a Baron-inspired cannon minion, as well as a pretty sizable wave. Will they look to try and take down one of the Nexus turrets is the next question.
Yeah, I think absolutely with this push, with the Baron, with these waves coming in, I think it'll be surprising if Ion isn't able to end the game here.
Airball with a shockwave, but it's not going to stop them as they continue to go on through. Hexflash and Cody linking up beautifully. Into the backline goes Maple Syrup, surrounded by 5. He wished he had a Gore Drinker that could heal so much like in seasons gone by. But that's not where we're at right now. A second turret is next on the menu. And now Ion are really farming them inside their fountain, unable to leave the base itself. And Styx will cop a unending despair and say, well, let's put a bow on it. Let's wrap things up. And let's focus on game 2.
Yeah, the one thing on the team that can take down Doraemon is the Fountain Laser with that 1,000 true damage coming out every second, so he finally falls down. But really clean game from Ion. I think this is cool. It's a very nice identity and very strong laning presence coming out of all these members.
A different look, another champion, another combo, something else to add into the wheelhouse of are we ready for it? And do we have a counter prepared? It's certainly ramping up the split in terms of individual players, teams as a whole. And this series too, Fury with a sub, with a different look, unable to match the power of Ion. Let's see if they can run it back in